First, we did everything that was great about this car. Now I'm going to start talking about the nitpicky shit, and some of it very big, some of it not so big, that I really, really, really hate about this car. I'm going to fuck it up. One of the things I really hate about this car are these seats. These are the most uncomfortable, comfortable looking seats that I've ever sat in my life. They are really generally uncomfortable. I mean, they don't hurt, but they're not very, they don't sit well. Even with all the settings they don't sit well. They're uncomfortable. There's a lot you can do with it. And it's not just because I'm fat. I'm sure being fat don't help matters either. I mean, come on, let's be honest. But these seats are very, very, very uncomfortable. Another thing that I really don't like about this car is the lack of front parking sensors. They give you rear parking sensors, and I guess front is kind of extra. But some of us like to have front parking sensors for Ford issues where you have a car in front of you, you got to park in a parking space where there's another car in front of you. It can also help you when you're pulling into tight spots like inside tight garages. If you got all the parking sensors in the rear, can't you put a couple on the front? Come on, Ford. That's real cheesy. Something else I really dislike about this car. I spoke how good this computer system is about not crashing. Everything else about this computer system is dull, boring, listless, and it's just nothing to it. I mean, there's a lot of buttons, but they don't do much of anything. And it's just, I've always disliked the computer system in this car. I don't like the colors. I don't like the design of the buttons, which is all moot because they're going to change all of that eventually. I believe in the next iteration of next runs, probably starting in the Mustang Mach-E. But the computer system really it fucking sucks. It really does. But it never crashes, and I give it an A+ on that, and it works flawlessly with Android Auto. So I have to give that also a plus. Something else I really hate about this car. These damn tires suck. I don't care what anyone says. I'll tell you, they are relatively quiet on the road and they're relatively smooth. But they're mediocre in rain and they are nearly impossible in the snow. And people say, well, you should get snow tires. Yes, I agree, you should get snow tires. But these tires are especially bad. I've also managed to pop 2 of them. Now, we could all blame that on old man driving. I mean, I'm getting older. I never popped any tires before this car. And also, it's hard to see out of this car. But these tires are like butter. You barely hit a pothole and pop. They're like $200 a pop. You barely touch a curb and pop. They can't grip onto the road worth of crap with rain. And in the snow, this car is downright scary. So, these tires are crap. They really are. And it's the first thing I would change in the car. It'd probably hurt your gas mileage a little too. But, that's the first thing I would change on this car, if possible. Another thing I hate about this car. Gas mileage. And I told you that's one of the things I love about this car. This car is great if you want to drive around the city all the time in electric. You're going to get great gas mileage. Or if you know your routes and how to set it, you're fine. Otherwise, it gets a reasonable but unremarkable average of 42 miles to the gallon. Now, that's nothing to sneeze at for a car this size. But in real practice, on a long trip and so forth, with your battery drained down, and you're only doing regular hybrid mode, you can get anywhere from 35 to 42. Well, that's fine, but that's not really what you would expect from a plug-in hybrid. Which is what it is, but just to let you know, the gas mileage can be kind of touch and go. You really need to know how to drive this car. Another thing I hate about this car, personally it doesn't bother me, but it's a bad problem with this car. This car is a big, large 4-seater that can handle some very large mammals in it, no problem. Which makes it a great car for a trip, except there's nowhere to put your luggage. This car wasn't meant to be a plug-in hybrid. They just made it into a plug-in hybrid in order to get into that government money. So they had nowhere to put the batteries except in the trunk. So there's literally almost no trunk room, making this car relatively useless on long trips unless it's just two people and they can put their bags in the back seat. Very big problem with this car. And it's not technically Ford's fault. I mean, the kind of redesign they would have to do to fit the batteries in the car would have been massive. I mean, it just can't just snap and throw batteries anywhere. It's a big deal. They couldn't do it, and they needed to get themselves a plug-in hybrid out. And this car was very, very, popular, the Ford Fusion. And so they went for this. And I can't blame them for it, but I don't think this car really sold all that well. I would be very surprised. I wouldn't be very surprised if the numbers for this car are very bad overall and always have been because of the trunk. Because it kills one very big aspect is you can't really take a big trip with a large number of people in this car unless their luggage is already ahead. So, no trunk, big problem. Something else I don't like about this car is the navigation buttons for navigating the menus on the screen. Yeah, you can figure them out eventually, but I thought the prompts were a little unintuitive, and it makes it a little difficult. I mean, it's a very busy steering wheel. There's a lot of buttons on here, and most of them, like I said, they're okay. You can figure them out. But I just found that these arrow keys with the OK in the center, they just don't translate well on the screens up front sometimes. And maybe this is just old man shit getting me. You know, I'm getting old, so I'm getting stupid. I used to laugh at people who couldn't do certain things because they're old and all. But I find it very confusing. Maybe it's silly. Again. And here comes one that a lot of you are going to think, this is kind of stupid. But here's something. Here's something that I really, really, really hate about this car. And it's going to surprise a lot of you because it's kind of silly. I hate the fact that sometimes when you turn off the car, it puts a little message on the screen down here that says, "Thanks for driving a hybrid." Guys, there's one thing about me that's very important for people to know. I am not an Uber person. I'm not one of the Illuminati. I'm not better than you. I'm just someone who happens to like the way that hybrid vehicles and plug-in hybrid vehicles drive. I like the electricity aspects of cars, and I like getting good gas mileage. That message reeks of such pretentiousness. It drives me berserk. It just drives me berserk. The people who would drive this car, it's not necessarily this car, but people who drive hybrids think they're better than everybody else. Trust me, I'm not better than you. And I don't think that. And I don't like the car trying to push a silly, ridiculous, almost political message. It's just freaking stupid. And yes, this is a dumb thing to hate about the car, but it's stupid. Stop with this crap. Stop with this, oh, you're better because you drive a more green vehicle. No. And you can tell I've wasted a lot of time talking about it. That's how much it annoys me. Fucking stupid, guys. Something else I hate about this car. There's no lane keep assist, which means the car will not keep you in the center lane. However, if you do tend to drift out of your lane, there is a lane departure and lane assist back in, meaning it's supposed to push you back towards your lane. I did an entire discussion on this where they literally replaced half the parts on the system. I mean, the main radar, the camera, and all this kind of stuff. They replaced all that. Mostly the camera. I'm sorry, not the radar. The camera and the mirror up here, because they thought that the lane departure system wasn't working right. It stinks. It stinks. You get over to the side and it pushes so lightly you can't even tell. You could lay your arm barely on the steering wheel, and you can't even tell it's pushing back. So basically, and it won't shake the steering wheel either 90% of the time when it's in the assist and warn mode. It won't even warn you. And literally you can drive right over the line and boom, right into traffic. You'll never know. It's garbage. It's a terrible system. It does not work right. I think there's something wrong with it, personally. But they said it's operating properly, so tell you it's total garbage. Put it on warn only. The assist, right now I'm letting go. The assist is just going right off the fucking road. It doesn't even assist. It's total shit. Get rid of it. Just set it to warn only, where it'll shake the wheel like a vibrator, and I don't know, you can rub your crotch on it while it does it and enjoy yourself. Either way, it's crap. Forget about it. It doesn't do any good. Very, very poor showing on that point. Something else I don't like about this car is there's no line of sight out of this car. There's a lot of windows, but the A, B, and C pillars going through are so thick as to literally kill almost all your view out the car, making this car very difficult to see out of. I mean, it's good enough. You can see well enough, but this car has very bad line of sight, which makes it even so much better that the car has blind spot monitoring, because you freaking need it in this car. So, viewing out of this car is very difficult. In fact, you'll even tend to, because of the low roof line, you'll tend to smack your head on the roof line as you try to get into the car. What are you trying to get in? Fuck off. Yeah, thank you. Go up there. Go skip in front of all of us. One of the other things I really dislike about this car is the general console design. There are so many freaking buttons all over the screen. They really needed the knob press kind of deal. The whole freaking thing is covered in buttons. There are too many to deal with. It's so badly laid out. And then to top it off, you got Tinker Toy down here to change your gears. I mean, come on, guys. It's fucking stupid.
Okay, for all of you guys who think I'm being a little ridiculous on this, I want you to look at this console. There are literally 20 buttons on here, and I'm counting the rocker switches as single buttons. It could literally be called 25 buttons. 20 buttons to control 25 functions. Now, if this is not an ergonomic failure, I don't know what is. This is actually pretty bad.
Especially this Tinker Toy, which is total shit. They really need to have rethink this, and I'm sure in some of their newer cars that they're going to have, well, they're not going to have cars, mostly SUVs, probably rethink it, but it's a terrible, terrible, terrible design in that aspect. Here's another thing, and one of the biggest reasons, and I don't think the word hate, I guess I use the word hate just as part of the shtick of the whole video. One of the other things I really dislike about this car, and it's really the biggest negative, in my opinion, of this car is boring. It's boring. And let me just reiterate the reasoning behind it. If all you want is a nice, reasonably comfortable, except for the fucking seats, reasonably comfortable car to drive, and does a good job, got good technology, all the fun stuff, this car will do just fine for you. But there's not one aspect of fun to it. It is boring on the road. It's just a smooth riding car to get you from point A to point B in good gas mileage and in relative comfort. There's no spirited driving in this car. You can spirit drive on this car, but these tires won't hold anything. The car is no fun. It's got a reasonable amount of power, but there is just not a single ounce of fun in this car. And it's a major shame. It may be hard for me to really point out to you what the problem is, but it's just, this is not a fun car to drive. It really isn't. It's a boring car to drive. And, well, you know, such is freaking life. What can you do? And basically, that's everything I hate about the Ford Fusion Energi. It's not a bad car overall, but you know, it's got, just like any other cars, there are pluses and minuses to every car, and this car has its pluses and minuses. I've been through the pluses, and those were some of the minuses. So that's it. Verdier out.